This is Kickin' and Streamin' Podcast. Here are your hosts, Graham and Jocelyn.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Kickin' and Streaming Podcast. My name is Graham, and today we are here, me, the Jojo. Look at us. By the way, yeah, it's been a day. Hasn't it, Jojo?
It's been a week and a day, yeah.
We're not gonna go through the entire ordeal because it would take an entire podcast episode to let you in on what we've gone through in order to get this connection going. But this is the cost of podcasting in the distance, isn't it, Jojo?
Yes, it is. And it's also proof of how dedicated we are to bring you, the audience, quality content, because we could have just said, fuck this shit, and gone and had a drink.
Yeah. And for a moment there, I wanted to get a drink. And I was like, all right. But here we are. I know, Jojo, you've had a hard time yourself in terms of your health toward the past few days.
I have. It's been a sucky one. And as I told you earlier before we started recording, I am wearing currently more makeup on my face than, if you put it on the back of my neck, I would have a hunch. So,
dude,
I'm trying not to look like warmed over death. And I'm trying to also try to find the line between that and a drag queen. So,
oh my God. I have to say, it doesn't look like you're wearing makeup. No, seriously.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, look at it. I just put you on the spotlight just so people can see, So today we are going to have a brief conversation, but very good one, about a series that has broken to the entire. By the way, it's not Bridgerton. So if you had any hope that today is the day we're talking about, it's not Bridgerton. We're never going to talk about Bridgerton.
No, we're not.
Just so you know. The series we're going to talk about is Lupin. Right, Jojo?
Yes. And I'm so happy that you suggested this because for whatever reason, it never came up on any of my Netflix radar or suggested things, which is dumb because this thing is so much up my alley. It is in my wheelhouse. It's one of my happy places. So I love this show.
Yes, so Lupin is the way that I will choose to pronounce this to stay faithful to the language. But you may have heard it referred to as Lupin or Lupin or something, but it is actually Lupin. Yeah, your brother has to show that he speaks French and shit, you know what I'm saying?
You didn't need to read the captioning like I did.
Yeah, crazy enough. Just for the sake of interpreting, I actually read I kept the English caption on to see how faithful they were to the interpreting, and I have to say they do a better job at staying accurate from French to English than they do from Spanish to English.
That's interesting. I have actually wondered about that, like how accurate it was, because I'm by no means a linguist or anything, but there are a few little phrases that I know in a couple languages that I've heard, but I'm like, I don't think that matches the captioning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's right. But for the most part, I want to say maybe at least probably 75% of it was accurate. And I think that they did a great job with it. So, Jojo, it's your turn to make this work so that people can say, I'm going to go watch this thing right away. But then at the same time, I wish Jojo and Graham didn't ruin it for me. That's what you do. Going on ahead, Jojo.
So this is the story of a young man who loses his father to suicide a little over 20 years ago. And he realizes through the course of events that his father was unjustly accused of stealing something, which led him to commit suicide. And one of the last gifts that his father gives him is a novel which is a real world thing. You can read this if you want to. A novel about a gentleman burglar, a gentleman thief, who like a jewel thief, a cat burglar, who essentially is the opposite, I think, of Sherlock Holmes, you could say, in the sense of he's working against law enforcement and not for it. It's about a very brilliant man who works out puzzles and things. So anyway, the young man becomes interested in this person, and 25 years later, we meet him, and he is kind of created a life for himself based on that character. And so it's great in that it's about heists, it's about intelligence, it's about kind of putting one over on some people who deserve it. And it's just extremely well done, and I loved every moment of this series, and I'm so thrilled that it exists.
You're absolutely right with the fact that I don't know why, but I was happy that Arsene did not go into law enforcement. So all of those skills that he uses to avenge and uncover the framing of his father was not being on the side of law enforcement, but rather being on the other side, maybe wrong side of law enforcement, but at the same time outsmarting everybody, and really, really showing that not only does he have a natural talent, but also if you follow the life story of Arsène Lupin, then you can become the modern Arsène Lupin and outsmart everyone. So this was a fantastic thing, and I know that we're going to have a lot of fun talking about it. So, Jojo, let's talk a bit about the legend of Arsène Lupin. I am amazed that I didn't know anything. I've never Sherlock Holmes, Robin Hood, all of these, those personalities that are sort of like legendary, personality cults, if you will, in terms of literary invention. I knew about. As a matter of fact, I just read earlier today that even the series that Roger Moore starred on for the longest time as the Saint, Simon Templar, was based on the legend of Arsène Lupin. But I am fascinated by it, yet at the same time, I'm amazed that I had never heard of the adventures of Arsène Lupin, which has been around for almost a bit more than a century almost.
Yeah. I know this much about about it. I think mostly because there was one story that got tied up with a lawsuit because the writer introduced the character of Sherlock Holmes and ended up changing the name to something really funny like Sherlock Jones or something like that to get around.
It was Herlock. Herlock as opposed to Sherlock. Yeah.
Yes, Herlock. So, which I think started the whole joke about the Sherlock Holmes names and people switching around the letters. So, I mean, awesome for the author to do that. But that is the only reference that I knew anything about. I've never read any of the novels or the stories, to my shame. So I was aware that he was kind of in the pantheon, if you will, of great fiction. Maybe not detectives is the right word, but crime novels. But I did not know very much about it at all. So I have to say that the series has made me want to read the books.
Yes. And Maurice Blanc, the author or inventor of Arsène Lupin, he just started writing some small little essays for a weekly publication. So there aren't even many books written on Lupin, but rather a collection of small essays. How has that not filtered into the American culture of comic books, or not comic books, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
How hasn't that happened? What do you think?
I I honestly, the only thing I can come up with is because it is French, and the Brits hate the French so much, and so much of American culture, if you will, is sort of a trickle down through the English, through Britain, and that's honestly the only thing that I can come up with, is that the British didn't really want to read anything that came from the damn dirty French. So that's the only thing that I can think of, because I mean, there were plenty other characters that are similar, in the similar story style that we certainly know about.
Yeah.
But not this one. So that's honestly the only thing I can come down to, because obviously the story translates very well.
Yes.
So it's not something that you would have to be French to understand. This is a theme that we can all tap into as escapism, or dreaming and that kind of thing. So I don't know why. That's my own personal theory, is because
I'm fascinated by the fact that whoever decided to create this modern version of Lupin based the entire story in, the life of a young West African immigrant and his father, and did not have a problem with making Arsene. Arsene was a nerd, man. Arsene was a little nerd, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was.
And the kid who plays young Arsene, by the way, like, I don't know if it's his son or whatever, but I don't think it would look like so much if he were his own son, from our side.
I know, because he has a very distinctive look. The actor, he has a very, very distinctive, features and just the shape of his body and everything. And the kid, I'm like, they found a mini him.
Yeah. It looks like one of the. Do you remember this series, this movie that actually took about 12 years to film because they used the same little actor over the years? It almost felt like the same thing. Like, that has to be Omar Sy or Omar Sy as a younger person, and they filmed that through time, and then boom, panned out to now as an adult. But I love everything about the character, because he's a nerd, but a stylish one at that, right?
Very stylish. Very stylish.
Incredibly stylish. But he plays all of the characteristic of Arsène Lupin to the T. He's a womanizer. He's a gentleman. He is slightly irresponsible and risky, but at the same time, he believes in loyalty almost to a fault. But he's not cruel. So this, I think this is what defines Lupin as the gentleman more than the thief, because he's not an assassin. He's not he's mischievous, but he's not cruel. And it almost, Arsene follows these tenets by Lupin almost to a religious sense, if you will.
Yeah. I was thinking that, having been given the book by his father, that being the last thing that his father gave him, that could almost feel like the Bible, if you will, that he should live his life by, that this is the ultimate example of a way a man should be, a way a man should live. And if you have the sort of the mythos of losing your father in such a horrible and tragic way, with such a besmirchment on his character, when he was a good person, and then you have this sort of superhero character but attainable, given to you. I can certainly see that almost taking the place of a religious experience, if you will, in becoming the way that you're going to plan out your life.
There is a character that becomes a constant in Arsene's life. I love his story with Claire. So how do you define this relationship between, I mean, they're co-parenting, of course, but do you think that in the end there is a slightly toxic but loving relationship?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm leaning towards the fact that there is something still there, that there is more than just co-parenting of a child. And I think it's more than, I hope that it's more than just a loving, toxic situation there. I like to think that they are, partners in more than just the sense of co-parenting. Not that that's not important, but.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, other than the child, than their son, Raoul, do you think Arsene is capable of loving anyone?
Yeah, I think so. I do. I do. I think it is probably has to be someone who understands the kind of life, I guess, and upbringing, and what led him to become what he is, and would understand that it, that his Bible is not the traditional Bible, but yeah, I would like to think that he's capable of that. I liked Claire. I root for the mom, so I don't know.
What do you think of young Raoul? I couldn't help but see my son in Raoul.
The actor who plays him is adorable.
Yeah,
I have to say, he's got those crazy hair, the big curly mop that's going on. That's awesome. So he's proving himself to be possibly something more than his father maybe bargained for.
Yeah. Do you think that we're getting a hint that Raoul might well be the next young Lupin, following his dad's steps?
That's kind of what I was thinking, that it might be against his father's wishes for him, but I'm kind of thinking that he's going to be like, yep, that's going to be me.
Yeah, this is a funny one. So let's talk about the cast a little bit. I have to say, I had never seen Omar Sy in my life before this series, but if we know what we know, if we know what we're doing, this is a series that should grab the attention of at least the Golden Globes. Yes. And he should be nominated for Best Actor, at least in a foreign language series or something.
Yes.
Because the guy is good, and I say this a lot. You've heard me say it a lot, but I think this guy was born to be Arsene Diop.
Yeah. He's so good in this that it's. I look forward to the rest of his career, and certainly want to follow the rest of his career, because he's just really, really good.
Yeah. I don't even know if he's interested in doing things in other languages, but anything he does in French, I'm here for it. Right?
Yeah. He's excellent, and I was just reading a little bit on his bio that he apparently started out in comedy. So that's interesting to me too, because there is a humorous side to this series that is done very well and not slapstick or anything like that. So there's a nice little humorous touch to this series as well, whereas it could have been very, very dark. And I like the humor. So to know that he has a background in comedy, that makes sense to me, because he plays that off very well.
He does. I can remember, for instance, the IT guy thing. that was mad funny. Like that was funny, you know. Uh, and it was like, but he's selling it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really, you're an IT guy? Yeah, he kind of looks like an IT guy. Yeah, there is a funny side to the show, but and I just don't know if Netflix just decided to just throw 5 episodes of these and see how it goes, because I can't. It didn't feel like a conclusion to me where things stopped. It just seems more like, well, we're not sure about this show. We're gonna throw it out there with 5 episodes and see what people think of it, and then boom, we'll use the rest of the 5 or 3 or 4 episodes that are left as a second season. What do you think?
From what I read, that's pretty much exactly what happened. There is more. They've already filmed, already in the can. They're just waiting to release them. I guess they maybe thought this wouldn't do very well. I don't know. I don't really understand why you wouldn't release everything at once, but maybe it was to create a little more buzz, to get people a little more hooked before you drop the second season. But from what I understand, that's exactly what you said.
So do you think Netflix had any doubts about it because it was in French? I mean, they do have foreign language series that have done well. I mean, Casa de Papel, the Money Heist, is a show from Spain that has done absolutely well. So I don't know what made them think that they had to sort of like sneak 5 episodes of Lupin. And then, because like this show, if I had to see and watch the first 2 episodes of this show and say, we want to buy these as a scout for Netflix, I'd be like, yeah, but you have to put the entire thing on.
Yeah.
Because it is a fantastic show. I don't know why they would do that.
I don't know either. I don't understand the minds of executives.
Yeah.
It was an interesting decision to make for sure, but at least we know that it's out there and that we're going to get to see it at some point, unlike other shows that have been canceled before we get a real resolution. So,
but what bothers me the most is the fact that they couldn't even, edit a good end to this work. Because you can tell that, okay, that's not it. You can tell that's, nah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so very true that they just, it was kind of like, and cut.
Not cool.
What?
So let's continue to talk about the cast. A bunch of people that we don't know much about, but we're fascinated by. Ludivine Sagné played Claire. I love the young lady who played the young Claire too. I also thought that she was very well cast and looked a lot like I'm seriously thinking that they took about 12 or 15 years to film this whole thing with the same people. I mean, come on.
I know. It really seems like that. It was like they were like, okay, so we found all these people. We're going to film this in '95, and then we'll fast forward and we'll do it then. So yeah, I don't know.
The Pellegrini family had this really weird ass vibe to it, and I think all of the actors that were involved in this nucleus sort of like understood that this wasn't your run of the mill family, that they had to be weird, that they had to be kind of like not really good.
Yeah.
But I feel the actor who played Mr. Pellegrini, his name is Hervé Pierre. This guy was good. This guy was scary. And he was the perfect villain.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I love the, I feel like this is more of maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I feel like this is more of a European thing. they will cast someone who is really not traditional looking in any of the slightest senses. And I love that because I feel like, and I think it's becoming a little better, but in American TV, it's like you have people that they fit the certain mold, their features are a certain way, they hold themselves a certain way, their body is shaped a certain way. And so I love to see someone who looks like somebody that you might actually see in real life playing a bad guy, because I mean, you know, it doesn't have to have not that this happens nowadays, but the mustache to twirl and the ha ha ha, that kind of thing. He's somebody that you could theoretically pass on the street and never even really notice, but he is a truly evil person.
And he's a bad motherfucker.
Yes, exactly.
The other actor I would like to talk about is Fargas Arsene. He played Babacar Diop. And I don't know about you, but the first time I saw this dude, I'm like, damn, Sam Jackson's French is really good, yo. I didn't know Samuel L. Jackson spoke French, dude. Like, damn.
When did that happen?
But isn't it amazing, though, how this dude looks like Sam Jackson? I mean, we've seen Sam Jackson with that look before.
We really have. But I wonder if he puts that on his CV when he's going for acting jobs.
I can play French, Sam Jackson. Eh? Oh my God, that is funny stuff, man. And I loved the character of Gedira. I think Gedira was the only one who had a clue of what he was doing, but yet he was completely dismissed by everybody. And still, even though he's pursuing the right line of investigation, no one seemed to think he's right.
Yeah.
You have to feel sorry for a character like that, isn't it?
Yes, you really do. You really, really do. Because, it's just making him feel like he's crazy, but he knows he's right. So, yeah.
I also like the fact that he is nerdy enough to have figured out that every single name that Arsene uses with his different personalities, different characters, are an anagram of Arsène Lupin. And I was like, yo, this is bonkers, but it is so good. It is so good. And I think this guy is brilliant.
Yeah.
But what do you think is going to happen here? Do you think he's going to become the one to bring down Arsene? Or do you see a potential love and hate partnership here?
I don't know. I'm thinking more of a partnership going on. I don't think they're going to end it with season 2. I think we're going to get to see more of this, and I don't think that that he's going to be brought down this quickly, if you will.
Yeah.
So I think that probably a little bit more of a partnership is going to happen. I don't know, maybe a quid pro quo type thing. Not sure, but yeah.
So the actor who played Gedira, his name is Soufiane Guerab. The actor who played Juliette Pellegrini, her name is Clotilde Esme. And Nicole Garcia plays Anne Pellegrini. What do you think of this character, Anne Pellegrini? Was she in on it? Was she just used? Like, what the hell?
I really feel like she was used.
You think?
I do. Used, but willingly used, if that makes sense. Like, I am in this lifestyle and I don't want to come out of this lifestyle. But at the same time, I know this isn't right. Like I feel like she had a conscience about it, unlike her husband. I actually liked her character, and I felt sympathy for her. I felt empathy for her. Like I didn't feel like she was being malicious for maliciousness sake. I felt like she was just a little bit, maybe a little bit too pampered, a little bit too naive, a little bit too under the thumb of not just her husband, but of wealth. and of that status and privilege. But I felt sorry for her character, and I wished that she could have found, the bravery to say, like when the break-in first happens, and the father says, "Well, Madame was there."
Yeah.
And she looked like she was about to say something, and her husband was like, "Shut up." And you just saw her like retreat. It was like almost an abusive relationship there between them. So I was like, oh, I feel bad for her.
Okay. While you were describing the way you see it, I couldn't help but think of Melania Trump for some reason.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't have I don't know that I can find the right words to describe this series, because if you dismiss a show based on the fact that it's not in English, then you're missing out. At the same time, the show is dubbed up in English, and you can change the language if you want to. Will it be missing out on some of the essence of the show? Perhaps. But you should not pass on the show just because you don't want to read subtitles. Because then, yes, you are missing out. This could well be one of the best shows on Netflix. And this is just the beginning of the year. But I doubt that there's going to be anything for the remainder of this year that might be, at least in terms of an international show, that will be better than this one. I don't know if I'm overselling it, Jojo.
No, I don't think you are at all. I feel I got the same vibes, the same feeling about this show that I did the very first time that I watched Sherlock on BBC. And Sherlock was one of my favorite shows ever, and a lot of people's favorite shows. So when I saw the first season of Sherlock, when I watched the first episode of this, I was like, I feel the same way. Like, I feel excited about this show. I feel invested in the characters. It's not, even though it tackles some difficult subjects, it's not going to bring you just so far down that, you're going to be crying into your soup watching it. It's got some great little twists and turns in it, but at the same time, you're not going to have a Venn diagram of everything that's going on in it to understand. I just loved everything. I loved the tone of it. I loved the way it was shot. I loved the storyline. I loved the actors. I loved the characters, and I can't wait to see the rest of it.
You're right. I would be remiss if I did not, and I didn't take a moment to actually find her name, but the actress who played Fabienne Berriot, damn it, she was good. God, she was good. And I would have wanted more. I wanted to see this partnership a bit more. So I don't know. I feel sad about it.
Yeah, I found her name, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Her first name is Anne. I can say Anne.
Right.
But the last one has accent marks over it, and I'm scared.
All right, give it a try. Give it a try, Jojo.
Benoit.
There you go. Anne Benoit.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it. So that's it. Anne Benoit as Fabienne Berriot. I love her dog, J'accuse. I love it. I love it. I love it. The dog looks like a J'accuse too.
That's cool.
But yeah, J'accuse is a mignon. He's a cute dog, and I'd like to spend some time with J'accuse. And I like the fact that whenever you mention Pellegrini, he gets pissed off. That's that. Oh my God. So we highly recommend this show, Jojo. So in terms of rating, what do you say?
We do out of 4 stars, correct?
Out of 4 stars, yeah.
Oh, 4 stars. 4 stars.
All 4 stars?
All 4 stars.
Damn, man. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard Jojo for the first time give a show 4 stars over here. So this is big. And she has compared it several times to, the vibe of Sherlock. And if you've listened to the show for a long time, you know how high in esteem Jojo holds Sherlock. So Lupin is the show we've talked about today, we've discussed today. And it is starring Omar Sy, or Omar Sy, if you want to read S-Y as Sy, Ludivine Sagnier, Shirin Boutella, Clotilde Esme, and Fargas Assande as Babacar Diop. We're going to leave it here for today, right, Jojo?
Yep.
Of course, we'll take a moment to invite you to join us on social media. You can find us under Kicking and Streaming Podcast. You can go also to our website, kickingandstreamingpodcast.com, and just click on your preferred social media icon to get us there and to follow us. If you watch us on YouTube and you found value on this podcast, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell also for further notification. You can find Jocelyn on Instagram as
Jocelyn Podcast.
And for me, you will find me as Mr. Puzzetta, that is MRPUZZETTA, MRPUZZETTA. Also, for me and for Jocelyn, we're calling it a day today. Thank you very much, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Kickin' and Streamin' Podcast. If you found value in our content, please subscribe and share. We would also be delighted to hear what you think of this podcast. So please rate us by writing a quick review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all major social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Join the conversation happening today on our Facebook group.